Hello students, today I am going to discuss about energy and their resources, how many types of the energy resources, how many type of energy we know and what is their use in our life. So this energy, in easy word you can say that ability to do work, or it is stored, it can be transported in a variety of ways. It may be mechanical, maybe in heat form, maybe chemical energy or electrical energy or nuclear energy. One type of energy that you get in form of radiation through the space, and that is also termed as electromagnetic energy. So energy can be defined in a number of ways. In the broad sense, energy means the capacity of something, a person, an animal, or a physical system to do work and produce the change. Today, energy is the primary input for almost all the economic activities and has become vital and improvement in quality of life. In fact, the whole infrastructure rests upon the energy. Whatever the consumption of energy in a nation nowadays usually considered as an index of its development, and about 24% of energy consumed globally is used for transportation, 40% for industries, 30% for domestic and commercial purposes, and rest 6% for other uses including agriculture. This energy generally we get from different type of resources, and on the basis of that we term that renewable energy or non-renewable energy or sustainable energy, etc. So first I am going to discuss non-renewable energy. Non-renewable energy is also termed as conventional energy. There another term is conventional energy. So whatever the energy present in the nature conventionally from the past so many years, that is actually the conventional energy, and that is non-renewable energy. Question: why it is termed as non-renewable energy? Actually, this energy consumption rate is very fast and formation rate is very slow. Non-renewable energy resources are available in limited amount and develop over a long period of time. So as a result of unlimited use, they are likely to be exhausted one day. It includes various fossil fuels, which includes petrol, coal, oil, gases and their derivatives like diesel, petroleum gas, petroleum oil. That is actually their derivative is diesel and petrol. So this non-renewable energy is the energy that we use from so many years, right? Nowadays we use solar energy, hydro energy, but in previous time we didn't use all that. Generally we use wood, coal as a fuel for our home purpose, for our kitchen purpose. Correct? So this non-renewable energy, that is conventional energy, that easily exhausted. That's why it is also termed as exhaustible energy resources. They are available in highly concentrated form, easy to store, have reliable supply, and have lower cost per unit of energy. That energy that we calculate in terms of calorie. But there are some drawbacks of this non-renewable energy, like they create pollution, they are available in very few space, like there are little bit coal mines, forests are going on, they are just finish off. So and petroleum oil, that is not available everywhere. Petrol diesel cost is also very high. That's why this one is not very much easily present. No doubt it is easily present right now, but maybe finish off for our future generation and also produce pollution also. So that's why non-renewable energy is good resource of energy, but that have some drawbacks also. Next is renewable energy resource. This renewable energy resources, generally they are biomass based and are available in limited amount in nature, since these can be renewed over relatively short period of time. They are widely available, their running cost is low, and they can be decentralized in power production. Very less pollution, as you can see in solar energy. In case of solar energy, very less pollution. In case of hydro energy or hydroelectric energy, there is very less pollution, and so on. But they are unreliable. Why unreliable? Suppose it is solar energy, you have solar cooker in your home. So what happened? That solar cooker will be work very good if day is shiny, sunny day is there, then it will be work better. But there is limitation. If there is cloudy day, that solar cooker or solar heater will not work properly. As well as hydroelectric, there is also some limitations, and they are not reliable source. This renewable energy source also include biomass, wind energy, biogas, and geothermal energy. And this do not produce too much pollution. So there are 2 points. 1 point, easily available. Second point, running cost is low. Third point, low pollution. So from all these aspects, it is very good, but there are unreliable supply of energy, as in case of hydro energy, 100% output is not coming. So this is the drawback of renewable energy resource. There is one more energy you have listened. I'm sure you have listened. That is nuclear energy. So one question must be coming in your mind. Why I didn't take the term nuclear energy? Actually, nuclear energy is, I didn't consider that in renewable or non-renewable energy. One more thing, that renewable energy also termed as non-conventional energy, and non-renewable energy termed as conventional energy. There is third term, that is sustainable energy resource. Sustainable energy resource it is termed because whatever the supply of energy, they are not exhausted only in one day. They take too much long time to finish off. This sustainable energy example is nuclear energy. We know that nuclear energy is obtained from the nuclear fission of the uranium and thorium. The global resource of fossil fuel and uranium and thorium are limited, may be exhausted, but not easily. They are very reliable and they can produce large amount of energy also. They did not produce carbon dioxide gas as a pollutant, and they require very little amount for the production of energy. That means it requires very little amount raw material. That means only one little bit amount of uranium or thorium that will create too much amount of energy. Because you know very well, uranium decompose into two and release 3 electron plus some amount of energy, and that energy is used as a in different for different purpose. Okay, so there are 3 type of energy: renewable energy, that is also known as non-conventional energy. Non-renewable energy, that is also termed as conventional energy. And the third term is the sustainable energy resources. And the sustainable energy resource, only one or two drawback is that initial investment cost is very high, their maintenance cost is very high, and also have high risk of radioactivity. I think all of you remember that Chernobyl accident. In the Chernobyl accident, there are some radioactive substance that get leak out, and because of that there are some pollution, radioactive pollution was there. So that was an accident. So this sustainable energy resource is no doubt very good but have very high risk. So there in examination generally this question has come, okay, what is the energy, what are the energy resources? So energy resources are that where energy production substances, energy producing substances are found, or that particular substance that produce energy, that is known as energy resource. And there are three type of, this is very important question. Now next question, that what is hydropower energy? This hydropower energy is also termed as hydroelectric energy. This hydroelectric energy is what? Hydroelectric energy, that means hydro and electricity, both the term is used here. Important point is that what is this actually? Actually this is a renewable energy resource where energy is produced by using the potential of water resources, and this is termed as hydropower or hydroelectricity. I think all of you know that in Himachal Pradesh or in some hilly area, this production of electricity mainly done by two things. What I know in Himachal Pradesh, there is one is tourism and second is dam. That dam that's produce an electricity, that are two revenue resources of the particular state. And not only in Himachal Pradesh, there are so many states where dams, that's a source of revenue for the state government. This electricity generated by hydropower or dam is very easy. Just suppose, see this figure. In this figure, this is your dam, and in this dam, this water is stored here. This is a high level, this is construction, and water is stored here. When energy required, whatever the channels that are here, that channels just up, and water flow down very fast. So this flow down speed of water, that rotate turbine of this rotation of turbine, that create electricity actually. Very simple working, that this free flow high speed water comes lower downfall and comes out in downstream outlet, and just movement of this turbine create electricity, and that electricity from this powerhouse goes for the transmission. So this role of the sluice gate is very important. That means when required, that's up, otherwise these gates are closed. And the speed of this water is very high. This have capacity to move this, and this generator now move on from this transformer, this powerhouse, the power transmitted to the various places. So this hydropower hydroelectricity is the electricity generated here by running turbine installed in downstream of dams, and large dams are constructed across rivers to impound huge quantity of water. Present time these are not very much in practice. Reason is the environment problem. This environment problem is the main reason. That's why these are not in very much practice. Same thing working, same is here also, that this is the water flow down, this water flow down, and this flow of water move turbines. These turbines, this movement of this generate electricity and transmission of electricity. I think now it is clear how this dam is working. Okay. So this overall hydroelectricity or hydro energy is very, very good, highly developed and mature technology. First, it is required that we should make dams, but in particular river stream, we should make dams. In Punjab, in Himachal Pradesh, there are number of dams are there, and it has high energy storage capacity, which make it ideal for energy management. No doubt that very reliable energy and have very little fluctuation in terms of electric power through the though by the plants, mean there is not too much fluctuation in power. Flow of energy is okay. They are renewable energy resource and very flexible. Why flexible? Suppose at a particular time period there is not too much water is there. So if there is not too much water is there, then that time flow of water will not allow water flow. If there is too much water because of the rainy season, yes, okay, will flow down open the sluice gate and then permitted water flowing and then reduce energy. So they are very flexible and based on the availability of water, and it is safe as compared to the nuclear and fossil fuel, because there is, in case of nuclear fuel, there is the risk of radioactivity, and in case of fossil fuel, risk of pollution. So no doubt it is comparatively safe, but not as much safe as it is seen here. There are some disadvantage also. The very first disadvantage is it is very expensive. It requires too much money for the construction of dam. Too many papers will be there. If there is a water reservoir, then okay, you can prepare a dam. If water reservoir is not, then you can't prepare. That means it's not work very well in where limited water reservoir is there. It is not too much good in terms of environment. Why? Because if suppose in a hilly area you want make a dam in a particular area, there you require for deforestation. That deforestation actually decrease the greenery of that particular area, also disturb their wildlife and also the other people. And not only that whatever the localites that living in that area, rehabilitation of that localites is also a problem. And when you try to make dam at a particular area and you didn't check the earth plates, that can induce seismic problems and create earthquakes. So no doubt hydro energy, very good energy source, renewable, quick result, everything is okay, not too much maintenance required, only once construction, costly, no maintenance required, but from the environment point of view, not very much good. It can destruct environmental atmosphere. Next is the solar energy. We are very lucky that we have sun, and in our country, in whole 12 months, no doubt, very good amount of solar energy we received from the sun, and it is abundantly available all over the world in the year, all over the year in the world. The energy that is known as solar energy convert into electrical energy that happen with the help of some devices. That device help to convert that energy into the heat form. Suppose you have solar panel at your home. Okay, so whatever the solar energy in daytime that is coming, that work properly by the solar panel. But next is that energy convert into the electrical energy, and that electrical energy we can use in our home for electricity purpose, for cooking food, for warming water, and so on. That particular device is the solar cell or the photovoltaic cell. The question, what is solar cell? So the solar cell is a device where solar energy is trapped by these solar cells. Now this trapped energy is stored in the batteries. That means it does not happen that once solar energy has come and you trapped it and directly use it. If you directly use it, then it's okay, but you can't use in night time, because in night there is no sun. So it is necessary that whatever the solar energy trapped by the cell, you should store in the batteries for use in electronic items, for especially for home lights, and whatever the street lights in our cities, there we can use. In traffic signals we can use, in calculators we can use, and especially in hilly areas where the conventional electricity distribution is not possible, this solar energy is very good option. So it is very useful in hilly area where conventional lighting is quite difficult. Solar heater, that is another device very popular in India and also in many cold countries, where as in the cold countries the whole house is warm, the cozy atmosphere is there, and that is possible with the help of solar heater. And that solar heater, actually there is the many cold countries that solar heater is used for the heating system of their homes. India is blessed with plenty of solar energy because most part of the country receive bright sunshine throughout the year except a brief monsoon period. India has developed technology to use solar energy for cooking, water heating, water dissemination, space heating, crop drying, etc. The grid connected capacity in country now stands at 481.48 megawatt, while the total solar energy potential has been estimated at 50,000 megawatt. Think. That means the solar energy is really a very useful, especially for our India. And this solar energy is pollution free, without no emission of greenhouse gases, not too much costly, available throughout the years. And it creates so many jobs for employing solar panel manufacturing, solar installers, etc. And in turns it helps in economy of India also. It is safer compared than traditional electric current. So these are the main advantages of this solar energy. But there is some disadvantage also. The first very first disadvantage is the cost of solar panel is very high. It is very costly, and solar energy is not present in the night. So we require battery, that is extra cost for the battery storage. Third thing is whatever the energy provide, that is not 100% from the solar panel. There is little amount whatever we expect. So efficiency is not 100% here. And depending on the geographical location and angle of the solar rays, we depend on that angle, so how much solar energy we can receive that particular area. Okay, now our next topic is geothermal energy. This geothermal energy is a type of energy, that heat energy obtained from the earth. Here the heat is stored under the earth's surface and coming out in the form of magma or sometimes in form of hot water springs. The temperature in the interior of the earth rises steadily as we go deeper. Sometimes this heat energy may surface itself in the form of hot springs. So geothermal energy in the form of hot spring has been used for the cooking, for the heating, for the bathing, for the several years. This heat energy can be used to generate power, and the natural heat from the interior of the earth can be converted into the energy. This natural heat comes out from the fission of radioactive material present in the rocks in the interior of the earth. Technologies for direct uses like district heating, geothermal heat pump, greenhouse, and for other applications are widely used and can be considered mature. The technology for electricity generation from the hydrothermal reservoir with naturally high permeable is also mature and reliable. There is a International Geothermal Association has been reported 10,715 megawatt of the geothermal power in 24 countries online, which is expected to generate 67,246 gigawatt of electricity in 2010 that we expected. The idea of harnessing this geothermal energy first time comes in 1904, and USA has the world's largest geothermal power plant, that is followed by the New Zealand, Iceland, Philippines and Central America. In India, geothermal plants are located in Manikaram in Himachal Pradesh and Puga Valley in Ladakh. Assessment of geothermal energy potential of selected cities in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh is being undertaken. That's all going on. So we can say yes, geothermal energy is no doubt very good source of energy, and it has so many advantages like high efficiency, reliable, renewable, and very little maintenance required. And the main disadvantage is whatever the initial cost is high, and it sometimes release greenhouse gases like ammonia, carbon dioxide and H2S gas, and sometimes from this geothermal energy is coming out some possibility of depletion easily possible, because how much amount of energy is present there, nobody can know. That is the main disadvantage of this geothermal energy. Okay, so this geothermal energy is very good source of energy, and besides that there is some more energy like tidal energy. That energy we get from the waves of ocean, and there is ocean thermal energy conversion where the sun warms the ocean at the surface and wave motion mixes the warm water downward to depth of about 100 meter, and this mixed layer is separated from the deep cold water formed at a high latitude by a thermocline. This boundary is sometimes marked by an abrupt change in temperature, more often the change being gradual. Thus, the resulting temperature distribution consists of two layers separated by an interface with temperature difference. Here the value are found in equatorial waters, and there are two enormous reservoirs in some ocean. So this ocean thermal energy conversion, that is also termed as OTEC. Okay. So as I have discussed that there are two different temperature layer. One is at the higher temperature, this is warm water layer, and this one is the cold water layer. So this temperature difference is between the 10 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. The higher value are found in equatorial water, and there are two enormous reservoirs in some oceanic region provide the heat source and heat sink required to operate the heat engine, right? Whatever this temperature difference, here it creates water vapors, it creates whatever the water vapors that goes to turbine, that turbine generate water vapor, and that condense to the fresh water. This is overall activity of OTEC. So as I discussed in the OTEC, that engine using this energy is referred to as OTEC, which makes use of difference in temperature between the two layers of the sea to harness energy, which in turn is used to drive turbine for generating this electricity. So this is OTEC. There is one more topic that I would like to discuss, that is wind energy. So wind energy is generated by wind power. This wind power is harnessed by setting up of windmill. That windmill have three giant blades. You can see here there are three giant blades at here, these and these, and these are set especially in that areas where the speed of wind is very continuous flow of air if there, and areas with constantly high speed air, preferably above 20 km per hour, are well suited for harnessing wind energy. This wind energy is used for pumping water, grinding grains, and generating electricity. This windmill that have large fans raised on tall towers are rotated by the wind and rotate wind turbine, and that turbines cause the rotation of magnets, and that magnets actually create the electricity. The gross wind power potential of India is estimated approximately 20,000 megawatt, and India is placed 5th position in all over the world after the Germany, USA, Denmark, and Spain. So in the wind power generation, that adding 2,483 megawatt to the power sector, and Gujarat is the first state in the country to start using this wind power in our country. Windmills are used in Rajasthan to draw subsoil water for irrigation, and recently two windmill farms of 10 megawatt each have been established in Tamil Nadu and Gujarat with international cooperation from the Denmark. So these are some energy resources that are used in our country, and our country India plays very good position in all over the world. So today in this lecture I have discussed what is energy, how many types of the energy resources we know, what are the renewable energy resources. In due course I want to say few words about the non-renewable energy resources like coal, oil, and petroleum, etc. That coal, there are so many types of the coal, anthracite and and bituminous and so on. Whatever the quality of coal, depending on that, their combustion value is that much, and that actually decide the quality of coal. So this topic is over. Thank you.